Well, hello, that's me again. Today is December 14th, 2024. It is Saturday. Enjoy your weekend, and I'm about to spoil it for you. So let's start with this nagging question. And you know what? By now, I'm getting really tired of people who are getting hysterical about Syria. Let me explain something what all those the telegram channels show some snippets and videos of Russians doing this and that, and then suddenly Reuters declares that, oh my god, those planes from Khmeimim base, they do not fly to Moscow, they fly to Libya. Well, yeah, and when people say that there are some transport planes in Khmeimim Air Base, and some other air defense systems are being withdrawn from where? Can anybody tell me? Because it matters if you are withdrawing them from what is the security perimeter of such immense facility as the Khmeimim Air Base. Yeah, there are other outposts which have all kinds of the air defense systems, and they're being moved. Are Russians moving them to Libya? Possible. Mr. Haftar wanted Russians in Russian bases there. Well, badly. So now we have the news, which evidently those whatever they call it, rebels, HTC, whatever they or HTS, they want Russians to stay. Russians will decide what they're gonna do. And this is just the time, and if Russians are packing and deciding to go, they will go. This is the whole idea behind the difference of United States and Afghanistan, which was running its government, and something which we need to pay attention to, because Reuters maybe is telling the truth. But let's start with the flight of Mr. Assad, and let's go. Here's the headline. You see, yesterday, Assad's final hours in Syria, deception, despair, and flight. It's by some, as usual, this Reuters or Bloomberg, this is all basically, propaganda. We know that. But in the issue of this Assad, being betrayed by all his generals and his closest circle, absolutely, this is what happened. But look what it matters here, and that explains a lot. As you can see yourself, and Reuters narrates here correctly, and if you go back to the news of those days, you will recognize that this is exactly what happened, and it has nothing to do with actually some kind of deal between Russia, Turkey, and the United States. But look at this. Assad visited Moscow on November 28, a day after Syrian rebel forces attacked the northern province of Aleppo and lightning drive across the country. But his pleas for military intervention fell on deaf ears in the Kremlin, which was unwilling to intervene, three regional diplomats said. Well, obviously that was made known, and as you understand, immediately that was the signal to all those Syrian generals who really wanted Russians yet again, together with Iranians, fight their war for them. Guess what? So now, and they say now that Hadi al-Bahra, the head of Syria main opposition abroad, said that Assad didn't convey the reality of the situation to aides back home, citing a source within Assad close circle and the regional official. I think so they already knew that both Iran and Russia stated enough is enough. Because now, if you go to the reality of the Arab militaries, they want you to fight for them. And this is exactly what happened in Syria. And Moscow saw it long time ago. That is why there is no hysteria or some kind of, oh my God, we lost Syria. Well, Syria wasn't Russia's to start with. And Assad's government was given free rein. It's their country. But as we know now, after years, that nothing was done properly. People say now, and they invoke constantly this issue, oh, they didn't have money, to do this and that. Well, depending on the political course of the Assad government, and depending on what Russians saw all along, and you remember my last video, go and look at the start of that video. These are Russian special forces who are saying, and look, well, yeah, you saw yourself what Syrian army in reality was. Now it's too late. But in terms of bases, Russians will decide what to do with them. But evidently, as I already stated, rumor has it, those rebels, so to speak, they want those bases to stay. I don't know. We'll see. As I already stated, I'm not in Kremlin. Don't ask me. But evidently, many people, due to, well, you cannot expect anything from them. It's not their fault. They are obviously living totally within this media bubble. They will be, manipulated into some kind of perception that, Russia was supposed to do something. No. Russia is not Soviet Union. It is not a charity case. Russians did the job in 2015 and while intervening into the conflict within Syria, which was started obviously by the United States and United Kingdom and with the help of Turkey. So, and then suddenly Russians are supposed after 2020 to maintain political stability in Syria and fight yet again? No, this is not how it works. You had the chance to reform your army, to reform your probably country, but nothing was done. And as we all know, the Alawite Circle and others, they were just basically, creating all those, privileges for themselves. They were rewarding themselves and awarding themselves with combat medals and orders, while in reality, these were Iranians and Russians who did the job. And fact is, that is why when you go after the 28th of November, and you remember the statement by Moscow, which still sent, there was a couple of their, sorties flown in support of those running Syria military. Iran said the same. Remember? Go back, look up the news when Iran stated that our aid will be very limited. By that time, everybody knew that the game was up. Now, for people who continue to spew this BS that, oh yeah, Russia exchanged Syria for Ukraine, this is complete nonsense because Russia has enough forces to be involved in the conflicts anywhere if it requires by Russian national interest. And that is why, if you look suddenly, that those planes do not fly to Moscow, except maybe one transport plane. Many flew to Libya. And then we'll see what happens after that. And if Russians will decide that it makes sense to maintain those bases in Syria, this or whatever will be left of Syria. So some people say Russians should create some kind of the protected zone in Latakia, and so I don't know. I mean, those people just will sell you out. That simple as that. And when you deal with Arabs, you cannot rely on any kind of the promises. So. And that's what happened in Syria. Now into the more immediate thing. And how to put it? Even New York Times comes up with this. Russian troops advance to within 3 miles of key Ukrainian transit hub. Oh, it's more than transit hub, but they talk about the city of Pokrovsk. Russia is pushing towards Pokrovsk, a strategic city for Ukraine's army with important rail and road connections in a rapid capturing of ground in the Donetsk region. Even New York Times cannot deny what is happening in the front, the only front which matters, because this is between Russia and combined West, and unlike Syria, which is a regional thing, this one is global. And if New York Times admits to it, and so that's what they write, as you can see yourself. So, well, yeah, Ukraine's top general said on Thursday that his troops were facing extremely fierce fighting as Russian forces close in on the strategic eastern city of Pokrovsk, and that unconventional decisions would have to be made to bolster Ukrainian defenses. Well, unconventional decisions will amount only to the draft of the 18-year-old kids, which will be basically killed very fast. Although the Commander General Alexander Syrsky did not specify what kind of measures might be taken. His alarming statements underscore the deteriorating situation around Pokrovsk, a key rail and road hub for Ukraine's army. In an effort to flank Pokrovsk, Russian troops have pushed south of the city. So, what can I say? Let me show you what Pokrovsk is. First, we will go to our dear friend Marat Khairulin. And as you can see yourself, this is the map from 2 days ago. You can see yourself the line of the combat, although from those meshed and shadowed, fat lines, you see yourself that Russians are already, well, very close, but it's not just that. You can see yourself the intensity of the assault. and the cover of the ground there, but let me show you why it matters. Pokrovsk is not only the hugely important in the anchor, transportation anchor there. Look at the actual physical map of the Pokrovsk. You see yourself? This is Pokrovsk, as you can see yourself. Now look attentively at the right lower corner. This is 2 miles, right? But if you take a look, everything what follows after Pokrovsk, once Pokrovsk is taken, which it will be taken, you see only empty fields and dramatic drop in the density of the actually settlements. In other words, you have those villages or towns which are now separated by significant distance between each other, and there are no reinforced positions there. Zero. None. And you cannot defend in the open field against such force as Russian army. You will be annihilated. Because Pokrovsk was the anchor of the last line of defense, the third line, which was erected under the supervision of the NATO people. And once you lose this, that's what is called operational space by Russians. You are free to move. Well, you can run through the E50 highway. Well, it's a road. There are other roads. Or you can roll over the fields if it comes down to it. And the desperation sets in big time. And that is why we have all those pathetic moves on the part of the combined West and Biden administration, which now promises Ukraine, we will deliver more of whatever. They will go into the whatever remaining of the stocks of the United States Army. Yeah, we're gonna give you, this hundreds of thousands of artillery shells or something else. Oh, sure, yeah, give it. See what happens. They think that, providing more missiles for whatever remaining patriots will change the situation. No, it will not. It just will make more money for people who will be destroying those PAC-3s with their crews, which are, of course, American. Or maybe European. So, and that is why we have the situation and, desperate pleas and desperate moves on the part of all those funny political players who in themselves are basically kids. But people with, Biden is a child, I don't know, like 2 years now old. But most of them they're not professionals. They are amateurs. They're professional BSers, that is, the euphemism for being a professional politician in the combined West. But we have now even this situation, and how to put it? Oh, good God! So we have this. EU Commissioner claims Russian defense industry massively outperforming bloc's military industry of the whole NATO. Well, we know this. We've been talking about this from the get-go. Russia is outpacing the arms production of the entire EU after significantly ramping up its defense industry and despite Western sanctions. The bloc's Commissioner for Defense and Space, Andrius Kubilius, has said, Kubilius, a noted Russian hawk and two-time Prime Minister of Lithuania, was approved by the European Parliament last month as the EU's first ever defense commissioner. The Russians have expanded their arms industry to an unimaginable extent despite our sanctions, he admits. Okay, Russia now produces more weapons in 3 months than the entire European arms industry produced, and in 6 months more weapons than the entire German army has. Well, you color me surprised, and if you go back to my videos or read my blog, this is what I was saying. I actually posted yesterday, without naming the name of a really good man, but evidently very confused and misled in his professional assessment, who was for years saying that Russian economy is that size of Spain. No, it's not. It's the 4th largest economy in the world, and industrially, pure real economy industrial base of Russia is stunning. It's massive, and it's capable to fight the whole combined West. Without mentioning the fact that obviously combined West and NATO as a whole cannot do anything about conventional war. It cannot do anything about nuclear war. It will be annihilated. But conventionally, they cannot fight, including U.S. Army and all those military chihuahuas from Bundeswehr, France, let alone the mighty UK brigade, the only combat-ready brigade they are ready to supply. So this is all without, this is beyond the, so to speak, a spectrum, if you wish, or the range of things we have to take a look at it. We have to accept them as the given, as given. That's what it is. So, and now because of that, let's take a look now at what do we have in losses for today. Again, as you can see yourself, consistently now below 2,000, because if you take a look, they are running. They really are running, and Russians are moving. And when you run, like for example from Kurakhova, you evidently gonna be losing less people when you stand your ground there and getting killed by Russians. So it is 1,575 today alone. So let's take a look. Russians already took the center of Kurakhova. It's 2 days ago. It's our friend Marat again. Take a look. As you can see yourself, it's 2 days ago. Russians already basically were controlling most of Kurakhova. They took the center of Kurakhova today, and so they're gonna be just pushing out or whatever, pursuing whatever those hapless Ukrainian guys want to do. Run. And so for today now in Novoselovka, if we go at Novoselovka, as you can see yourself, this is today, by the way. There's a breakthrough, and Velika Novoselovka, it's going to be a tactical cauldron, tactical meaning fully surrounded, and they will be killed also. So the slaughter is unimaginable there, and as I already stated, some people in Pentagon begin to kind of read the tea leaves, if you wish. They still provide Trump with the BS numbers. Poor Trump. I mean, he is being misled, and as traditional looks like for his administrations when producing those ridiculous numbers like 600,000 Russian killed. You cannot explain this to people who do not mathematics, basic mathematics. They do not understand what is calculational algebra is. All kinds of the things with n, factorials and things like that. You cannot explain it to them. That is why many people believe, for example, that Stalin killed 60 million Russians. They don't understand why we exist as an ethnos. In fact, during Stalin's rule, if you take a look, even after the horror of war, actually the population was growing. But what do I know, So after, those specialists from all those think tanks, all those political scientists, who know how to run armies and economies into the ground, primarily in the ground, but that's what they know. And if we, when we put this whole thing together, what can I say? I mean, it's a disaster. It's a complete disaster. And what you saw in the beginning of the video, it's just a continuation of the killing of the whatever is left of the Ukrainian army, and those how to put it politely, advisors, if you wish, who are advising them. Now, in this case, what can I say? We have now this Chihuahua. It's Europe. They're morons. Pardon me, but they are morons. I gave up on you. George Galloway today, in the impassionate, not plea, statement of his, you can go and look it up, stated that I'm done with Arab cause. I am done with European cause. Over. No, it doesn't mean that I hate Europeans, all Europeans. No, I mean, but there are good people in everything. Make no mistake. There are many good people from Europe, from Germany, from France, from Great Britain. They moved to Russia, and I understand them. For them, it also is a tragedy because they understand they cannot live in their countries. But here you have this fanatic Russophobe and bimbo, basically. She is representing the country which is smaller than one of many Moscow boroughs. Actually, the country is smaller of the most million-sized cities of Russia. It's Estonia. But yeah, EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Kallas criticizes the Chancellor's Ukraine course. Who's Chancellor? It's Handelsblatt. It's Germany. So she thinks that this bimbo, and hey, Germans, you wanted it. I'm sorry, guys. You voted for that your country is being now screwed by Chihuahua. I mean, look at her. She represents the country which is not really the country, it's state-led. Basically, this is like, look up the population of Estonia, like 1 something point million. So, and Ukraine reports major attack on energy facilities. Yeah, she's talking about the fact that they attacked launched 6 attacks on Taganrog. 2 of them have been shot down. 4 of them have been actually confused by the electronic warfare. There are a few lightly wounded people, and they dealt no damage. But this is what they wanted to elicit again response from Russia, because this is what's left in the basically arsenal of those people in Washington. Why she's criticizing the Chancellor of Germany? Well, because, Republic of Moldova, they talk about to declare a state of emergency due to imminent failure of Russian gas plus. But here it is. She criticizes Mr. Scholz because he doesn't give the, Taurus missiles to Ukrainians. Well, Russians air defense today shut down yet another Su aircraft near Kherson, which was trying to do the bombing run. This is basically a preview of what if, for example, those people in US Air Force who believe that they can fly against the best army in the world and not be shut down. But again, you just take off, and usually most of the time it's one-way ticket. So that was one of the rarest occasions in the last year when Russians shut down. Where this aircraft came from, well, it came from Kherson area, and again, it just took off and bang, done. So, and here we have this. Now we have this fluffy rhetoric and, the PR actions, Mr. Macron talking about all those, peacekeepers. Well, here we have, what can I say? Also from Handelsblatt. Look what they print. Here is expert. This is yesterday. And what is really strange, because this is the Colonel Marcus Reisner, who is actually fairly competent military man, and he's Austrian. And he was the guy actually who had good ideas about where it was coming in 2022 by warning that what you see is not exactly what happens on the front. And he said that you cannot underestimate Russia. He had those great ideas, which are professional ideas, but something now begins to give up in him. He says up to 150 soldiers needed for peacekeeping in Ukraine. According to Austrian military expert Colonel Marcus Reisner, a possible peace in Ukraine can only be secured with a robust peacekeeping force. I don't know why this colonel begins to ignore some things which he was saying and ignore what Mr. Putin says, what Mr. Medvedev says, and other people who really matter. Not some stupid Handelsblatt journal or some US Army general who has no clue what is going on. No, Russians already stated any kind of NATO force in Western Ukraine, this is what they call peacekeeping, becomes a legitimate target. So, it doesn't matter if you put there 150 or 300,000 soldiers. Russia has reserves and enough weapons to basically turn them into dust. And, well, in this case, she might demonstrate the Oreshnik on a much larger scale. And I don't know why he says and where he gets his number, because there will be no peacekeeping in Ukraine. In the Western Ukraine. What there will be, if they think like that they can do it, they will introduce some kind of force, preferably French, because Macron is, in the forefront of pushing this idiotic idea. So let French first come in, and then, Russia will demonstrate what's going to happen to them, and then Mr. Macron will declare victory and will re-elect himself. French will vote for him again. Never mind what they think, people who have any brains left in France. But So Poland already told him, Mr. Tusk, fanatical Russophobe. He told already Macron to pound sand because unlike British or, for example, French army, which are chihuahuas, they are just basically, the jokes, basically. And Poland has actually four divisions. I mean, I don't know what is the readiness of all four of them, but unlike, for example, France or let alone United Kingdom or those brigade, structures and things like that, Poles still retain divisions. Even if they have a couple of divisions, they're already kind of larger force than whatever the France can really provide. And Donald Tusk told Mr. Macron in Warsaw to get the hell out and pretend that stop pretending rather that Poland will provide any kind of peacekeepers. Polish are not stupid, okay? They may be, Warsaw may be absolutely Russophobic, and they do sometimes absolutely ridiculous things. But there are many people there who will still retain kind of Soviet level of military education, and they understand what Russia is. So they they didn't like the idea. So let France go in, let's see what happens. And I'm being facetious, of course. Whatever the France will, basically provide there as peacekeepers will be gone really fast. And when you look at those guys who never faced serious enemy in like ever and are really good at primarily surrendering, look at Sahel. Russia kicked, basically French out of Sahel. That's why they are butthurt. That's why Macron wants to create all kinds of those, ideas that, we can send, those peacekeepers. The same as, interesting thing though, if you go to the Voice of Turkey yesterday, also it's just pretty remarkable. The Voice of Turkey, they have their Telegram channel. Look what they say. It's English translation of their, and look at this. Turkey to shoot down Israeli air forces, Voice of Turkey exclusive. And they say that Turkey is aware of the Voice of Turkey team discussed the issue with high-ranking officials from Ankara about what if Israel flies in support of whatever the Kurds or whatever the hell the forces there. I'm lost counting them, so if you want to, just be my guest and enjoy, just indulge yourself in studying the backgrounds of all those head choppers and fanatics. But Turkey is aware of this, that Israel may support somebody, and we made it clear to Israel in advance that they will not tolerate, so we will not tolerate support for the PKK or YPG terrorists, that Kurds basically, who are part of SDF. So, and they told that, but Israel kind of acknowledged, and when they were attacking something, it was far from Turkish position in Syria. So in this case, Turks want to demonstrate to themselves that they scared the hell out of Israel. Maybe, I don't know. But this is what is happening now in Syria, and this is what is happening now in Ukraine. And as I already stated, and I repeat it ad nauseam, those who don't believe me, go and watch my videos for the last year. Syria is just the one link out of the global conflict which combined West, headed by the United States, unleashed. Unleashed because they're ignorant, because they're stupid. When you look at General Kino Kellogg, you will understand basically the level of the American military, which believes its own fairy tales. National security circle in the United States, I don't know. It's just complete ignorance and incompetence, and they started it, and as a result they are defeated in Ukraine. This is a global defeat for combined West. And if people wondering why Mr. Medvedev flew and talked to Mr. Comrade Xi to China, well, I can tell you one thing. He briefed Mr. Xi on the fact that what's going to be happening between Russia and China once Russia wraps up this conflict, and Mr. Trump hopefully gets, gets into the White House on the January 20th, and we know that Mr. Trump really wants to deal with China. Russia will be there to help. And there is so much to be said about it. It will take, I don't know, 5-hour program just to describe what Russians and Chinese are doing economically and militarily to prep China for their, yet another desperate assault by morons in Washington, D.C., who still think that they can fight real wars. They cannot. And this is what I wanted to tell you today, guys. As always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel, and those who can afford, please support me on Patreon and buy me a coffee too. That's gonna help me to continue to doing what I'm doing. And have a nice rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye bye.